Welcome back, everyone, to the next round of the, this time, lower bracket Nations Cup here in GLL. I'm Toby, joined by Saint, and we will take you through this entire beast. There was like a BO3 and best of 3 in one word. Best of 3 between Denmark and Portugal. And we saw the video. You could see the video also just before on the in the loading screen. It's going to be double Erangel, old Erangel, followed by Erangel Classic, followed by new Erangel, and then should we go to third map, it's going to be Sanok.
I'm looking at these two teams and I'm thinking we might just be seeing Erangel in this because just off names, there is like 2, maybe 3 people that I recognise in this Portuguese team.
I think I know all the Danish players.
Yeah,
with the exception of like 3 or 4, and
some of them look like their alt accounts.
Exactly. I was just going to say I probably know those players anyway, but it's just because they've made weird names for themselves. So the funny thing is, I started my PUBG casting with Danish community casting before I started doing the English. And a lot of the players that I see here, they don't really play at high level anymore. Yeah, but they were all there then. I mean, we're talking some of these guys. They got like they played the game before even knew what it was.
Yeah, I mean, there are people here that had played LANs before I'd even bought PUBG.
We have. I mean, Avenger's entire former team is here pretty much. That's our team captain Mudo and his brother Pony Ride, and they're both playing. And I think at one point they were actually both on team with Avenger. I think they were both in Theatre of Mayhem, right? Or was it even before that?
I'm going to be honest. I wasn't watching PUBG when that was a thing.
So, no, I'm trying to think back if Mudo was ever on Theatre of Mayhem. It was only Pony Rider. I know that Pony
definitely was.
Pony and Avenger, they won their first Gamescom. Or got second place in that duo tournament together. I actually don't remember. But anyway, that's way in the past. We do have some pretty damn decent players there, though. Boogie Boogie, we got Stab. We got a lot of high-level players. We could keep mentioning names. It's not really gonna matter. You'll see them in action in just a moment anyway. And I feel like I normally like to pride myself as a non-biased caster.
You can't not be biased when it's your own team playing.
I think I need to be a little biased in this tournament.
And I think I'm going to be biased towards Denmark as well, just because.
Oh, you are? I thought you were going to take the other side.
Portugal put Britain out of the top bracket, so.
Oh yeah, they beat Britain. That is true.
So I'm looking for a bit of revenge coming from Denmark.
So that does mean that if we beat Portugal, we're better than Britain.
Yeah, well, I wasn't playing. So
that's a double whammy right there. Not only do we proceed, but we also get to best this guy and Hayes. This is perfect.
I'm not going to hear the end of this.
This is perfect. If we win this. If we lose, then we're just all worse than Portugal. And
Portugal's obviously amazing. Yeah.
That's good. There's a lot of the line here. Not only bragging rights for the players, but I get some of it too. That's perfect. Better get him win, guys. No, it's gonna be really interesting. As I said, double Erangel. You can see it down there. I hate this kind of reverse pointing thing, but it is over there in the corner. You can see the whole lineup of things, and we've been through this for a while now. I mean, a lot of Nations Cup matches or Nations Royale matches have gone through, and we are slowly but steadily closing in on that $30,000 grand final.
And that is a pretty tasty sum of money. Obviously, with 32 teams, that gets shared out a fair bit, but you're still 30 grand. That's a lot each.
A lot of money. You can see all the players on your screens right here. And as we said just before, if you go towards the Danish side, even if you don't necessarily know Danish players per se, I think having watched competitive PUBG either on a Pro League level or Contenders level, there should be at least some names that you would recognize. And there are names that I recognize on the Portuguese roster as well, for sure. There are at least 4 or 5 names that I've seen before. Sparking has actually been doing extremely well in the Wingman tournaments that has been playing previous Dark Shores. I've seen plenty of times before as well. So I mean, there are players on the Portugal roster that I've seen do extremely well. But one thing that I've come to notice in these Nations Royale matches is that it's not always that one individual fragger that can go out and dominate things. It's so much more about, I guess it's kind of both for the general in the team and also kind of the team captains to be able to deploy the troops correctly, because one super talented player just cannot take out 5 players at once.
Yeah, we saw it at the start of that best of 5, Germany and Greece, where in the first 2 games, the German roster was playing very individualistic, trying to rely on their mechanical gun skill. It just wasn't working out. We saw them sort of change it up. They started turning into those death stacks and started pushing on as a group, and that's when it came to that comeback. So I want to see Portugal making up for maybe their lack of mechanicals. I don't want to say they're bad players, because I mean they've got to this round at least, and they beat Britain.
They beat Britain.
So they're obviously decent players in their own right, but versus a team of players where I think all 32 have like prize winnings. You know, they're all players that have won tournaments.
Well, at least they've played tournaments.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, because for the short time that I played competitively, I played pretty much exclusively with Scandinavian players. And I faced a lot of these guys in like Frag League, stuff like that. And actually, I faced a lot of them in GLL back when I used to play.
Yeah,
so I know for a fact that all of these Danish players are nuts. I've been killed so many times by them.
They have let's put it this way. They have the individual skill set to maybe go out and win this game, but it's about how Mudo, as a team captain, how some of these other, I don't know, like normally what we see is that the general handpicks a few other players that he'll say, okay, I'm going to say this to you, and then you're kind of in charge of these 8 guys, you're in charge of these 8 guys, and then he will be the master brain, and then he'll spread the info out, and it's the communication from him to the captain to the players. That is what has to work, and if it doesn't, kind of really doesn't matter how good you are, because everyone that plays this knows how to shoot, they know how to run, they know how to drive. You need to do it all together, though.
Yeah, but the only team we've seen successfully deploy that sort of chain of command is Turkey. And
they do well in it, yeah, sure.
They've still not lost a map in Nations Royale. So if other teams can start taking that system that they're employing, start having that sort of your general, and then your sort of platoon commanders, quite literally, I think they're called platoons in the game, aren't they?
Yeah, it's called platoon battle.
Yeah, so your little platoon commanders taking control of the 8-man teams, and then as long as you have that general commanding the platoon commanders, then you should have a very cohesive unit, and that is really the win condition. I think definitely for Portugal, maybe slightly less so for Denmark because of the sheer mechanical skill on the team.
The good thing that I think for Denmark in this tournament, and this is not me trying to favor them, it's just Denmark is not a very big country.
Nope.
We don't have we do have a big esports scene. There's a lot of Danish players that are high level in all these different tournaments, but all these different game titles. But the Danish PUBG, it's a very committed community, but it's not that big, which means that I would assume most players on the Danish team have probably played together before,
I think
at some point.
I think we at least like the players currently on Tempest, so I think it's Wookie Bookie,
and Clip,
Stout,
and
Clip.
Exactly.
I actually think Hjort's on the team now, but they've all played with at least like 7 or 8 different players in that lobby.
Exactly.
I've seen them and played against them when they were doing it. So there's a lot of past experience, but you have to wonder. I wonder if there's any bad blood between them. Maybe
could be. I hope that the general would have picked players that he knew worked well together. You don't want to have internal struggles on your roster if you're trying to go out and win a game. I think that counts for any game and anything you do, any environment where you put people together. I don't think anyone really wants to be in that
but the absolute
situation.
worst case scenario is you just put them on different platoons.
Because, you push north, you push south.
Just put them on the other side of the team.
Mike Wachowski and Hjort go each direction. You don't want to be close to each other. I didn't. That was just a random example, by the way. I have no idea.
Well, Mike's really off. He's gone up to Saverny on his own.
Well, there's no one else there. Might as well just have that little beacon out there to make sure there's no enemies in that area. Now, I want to see a melee circle, not only because Denmark has it, but because I haven't really seen any of them on the Erangel side.
I'm surprised. We've not had any mini circles.
Not going to get one here either.
We
I would call it a Danish circle, though.
Just a little bit.
To some extent.
But we did see in the
I think it was
Polish versus Turkey game, and Turkey just sort of walked in. The lack of aggression from
no, it wasn't Poland.
It wasn't Poland. It was my brain.
Yeah, my brain.
Started with an S. Serbia.
Yeah,
it was Serbia.
True.
Not Poland. It's because Turkey and Poland played together in the was it the grand finals last time?
In any case.
Anyway, but yeah, the team in the circle didn't capitalize on having it, and the team outside were able to push in. They utilized the farm area to get deep into the circle, and then they sort of death stacked their way up to the middle of the map. And
exactly.
I want to see potentially sort of just to the northwest of Milta, those yellow houses were very underutilized.
Yes.
When we saw it last time. So I want to see a couple of players around there just to sort of deny that map presence for Portugal.
Now, I'm looking at Mudo. He is looting just in the western farm of Shelter. He's sitting quite literally in the middle of his troops. Do you think that's on purpose? To be kind of the middleman to guide them through, or is it just a coincidence?
I don't think it really matters. Bar maybe not being on the front line and not having to focus fully on your individual gunfights. I don't think it matters really whether he was up in Yasnaya or down in Milta.
That's another way that we've seen. We've discussed this a little over the other days here as well. How different nations have different ways of utilizing their captain. Of course, the general. Of course, he's going to be the one making most of the decisions, but some like to have him out on the front line, like literally be the first guy to fire his bullet, first guy charging towards the opponents, have that leading vehicle with waving his banner, charging forward. And some are more, we'll hide him kind of on the back lines, and then he can be the one with the sniper. He can be the one kind of getting the grand overview of things. And I don't actually know. Since we haven't gotten to see any of the Danish matches in the tournament so far, I don't know how they want to do it. I know Jackie when he was when he was the team captain the last time around, he was more of the backline player. He would always be the one trying to get the full vision and understanding of the situation. And I don't know how. I mean, if I know Mudo right, he wants to fight, but I don't know if that's what the team will allow him to do here.
Yeah, I think that's partly because some of these team captains are first and foremost streamers. Some of them are first and foremost competitive players. Like I'm looking at Belgium. Silas is their team captain.
Yeah,
and he is one of the best individual gunfight, like
he is
best players in a gunfight in the game at the minute. So if he's your captain, you want to be sort of playing around him in those big gunfights. That he is your focus point for any attack. Whereas you go to maybe a Portugal, I don't quite know. I mean, obviously we have who the captain is here, but I don't know if Shootsgood is a. I'm pretty sure he plays competitively, but I'm also pretty sure he's first and foremost a streamer. So I wonder whether maybe he's going to hand it over to your Satires and your 22s, the players that do play competitive consistently.
I mean, he has not only one but 2 TVs in his name, so you would think that
I think
you would think that that's a sign that he is a streamer. But I mean, I've casted PUBG for a long time in all different levels of competitive play, and I don't recall seeing that name. So that would mean to me that he is a streamer first. But I mean, it could be that he's just mainly played Portuguese tournament.
Yeah, I know there is a pretty well-established Portuguese regional league.
They have a pretty decent community as well. I mean, the fact that they can put together 32 players, and it probably isn't like the only 32 players. They probably picked the best ones, obviously. So it's not because there's a non-existing region. It's just me maybe not having ever had a chance to really meet them before. Chronix, I've seen before plenty of times. Talented player. They're making their way up towards what I think would be School and Abs, and maybe try and push north around in this.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to try and use the dirt road, sort of on the this sort of western centre, that sort of high ground. We've seen high ground been so successful so far tonight. I wonder if they're maybe going to use that again.
I'm wondering, do we have red zones? Because we used to. We used to have red zones. And that was hilarious. I loved it when you had like this fight just about to start, but then the red zone comes in, and all of a sudden everyone just sends it away from. I think it was Tala playing for Britain one year where he got naded twice by the red zone.
It
was absolutely hilarious. It was very entertaining. Also because it's the guy that has been up here and casted with us before. It was really fun. But it seems like the Danish forces have decided to take the center position, and I'm thinking when I'm looking at the Danish roster, even though I hope that Mudo rules it with a very sharp sword, I think it could, like, the downfall for Denmark could be, if it is, that there are way too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah,
if you count IGLs on the Danish roster,
8 or 9 at least. Yeah.
There's a lot of people who I know would want to be the ones to make the decision. A lot of very big, I don't want to say egos, but a lot of very big personalities
people
on that team.
Because they have that competitive experience and also have won tournaments, they sort of have not necessarily a right, but an expectation to go into this thinking we're the players that you should be playing around.
So I hope that either Mudo has made some sort of a ruling for how it's going to work, or that he knows when to say, no guys, listen, this is what we're doing, because you need to have that one person. Whether it's the right or the wrong decision, you can always discuss that afterwards. You have to have that one guy, or girl for that sake, who can go in and say, this is what we're doing. And I think more often than not, it doesn't necessarily matter that it's the completely right play, as long as everyone commits to the same one decision. We saw it with Greece, where it kind of fell apart because half team do this, when you could see it was supposed to be everyone, and then it kind of, oh my lord, these circles, Denmark, if you don't win this game. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, they've already got a lot
There's going to be DMs coming out. There's going to be DMs coming out from me saying, I had money on you later tonight if they don't win this game.
But I expect the Portuguese roster is going to wrap all the way around to Mansion and maybe even get up to Lepofka Hill. So they can actually get fairly decently into the circle and get all the way around Denmark. Yeah.
For sure. If they can wrap all the way around the forest, they would be in a golden position. I think Denmark already now has to see themselves beat to Mansion. Like, they should stay around prison and hold the southern side.
There's a lot of Portuguese players. I think there's already 3 that have fallen off vehicles.
I think
Denmark should be able to come in, though.
Denmark should just stay around where they are now and say we bank on the circle going south here.
Based on the fact that they know where all the Portuguese players are, I expect Fifi has the angle. I kind of want to see them go towards Lepofka Hill.
I mean, Fifi must have heard like 16 vehicles drive past him, and that should be information to come across.
His head is just full of noise right now. And there's whether Denmark just sort of leave this circle as a, we'll let them have the north and we'll take everything else. Or whether they send like maybe an 8 or 9 players up onto that Lepofka Hill, try and deny any control whatsoever for Portugal. Because there always is that opportunity for the circle to shift north.
I would say if Denmark gets this position that they're in now, and the circle goes south, they not only will agree, or the Portuguese players have to go towards them, they will also have to cross through a really crucial open stretch, and I think that's what Denmark is trying to avoid, having to cross for themselves.
Yeah, this is Erangel 1, right?
Correct.
Before so that field in Erangel 2 there's a lot more cover. There's more trees. There's like dips and stuff. So
you have the whole
on the other map,
line,
if they had this circle, it might be okay trying to come south. But on this, all those players on the hills will be able to just shoot at the cars as they drive in.
I think this is going to be the final stand. I mean, in terms of right now, we have all the motivational speeches. The general on the horse is riding around in front saying, "This is where you stand for your nation, for glory." And then with the next circle, pretty much no matter where it's going, we're going to see a fight.
And we're going to have a proper Aragorn charge from Portugal.
If it goes anywhere but north, there's going to be people charging. And actually send us up. Maybe we'll get a stall for a little while longer. And this is essentially just going to push the players closer to one another. It could make for a really, really interesting endgame fight here.
But the problem for Portugal is that hill that they're on in the north is relatively exposed. We see now a lot of the shots coming in from the Danish players towards that hilltop. They can only really play on the eastern side, and then they sort of lose all that control just because of the sort of area denial from the high points that Denmark are controlling.
This compound right here, despite not granting you the best vision towards the north, it is an area you really, really want to hold just out of its sheer location. Oh no, the vehicles! How did they not run any of each other over? That is impressive. I mean, they're all dying. They're all going down, but in all fairness, how did they not run any of each other over? We see... Oh my lord, there they come. There they come.
Oh my god.
No, what's
Mike
going
Wazowski
on?
and Kenshin have just killed like 20 people.
No! They're all going to explode.
They're all gone. Just like that, Portugal's just gone.
They just lost half their army. I like the commitment. I truly love the commitment, but that right there was suicidal.
Yeah, that's not an optimal trade. Let's put it that way.
I gotta give him credit though. I mean, the fact that in squads in the highly competitive play, we can have two people run over each other and rotating. They just fit 6 cars up against one wall and never messed it up. That is very impressive. And look at the flank coming around now.
Right at the end, I think.
Beamy is sending it around, trying to pin in the opponents. This is a smart play.
Yeah, they've just got this massive concave now on the remnants of the Portuguese roster, and as soon as they push south from this hill, they can just start shooting everyone in the back. It does look like the Portuguese team have wisen up to the flank, so potentially they can get rid of a couple of players and start to bring back that deficit. But it's not looking good in the kill feed. A 1-for-1 trade right there onto Cali.
2-1, kind of. Right now, Denmark over Portugal, and seems like they have the jump on them. I mean, they don't know essentially where all of them are.
He's got a nade, but he wants to get it with the M4, and I think he's going to get the spray down. Ooh, not quite. Freds, can he get the return?
No matter who ends up winning this. Oh, he ran out of
Snow.
He ran out of ammo, Snow. That's unfortunate.
He had a nade, and he forgot.
I guess so. That's unfortunate.
You forgot what the meta is.
Forgot what the meta. Maybe he just lived in denial of it.
Or maybe he's playing.
If I don't nade, maybe they won't either. You know?
Yeah, maybe he's read the patch notes and thought it was a new patch.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what it is. I think it's just, you know what? If I don't nade, hopefully they won't either. Someone has to be the first one to make the step, right?
The honourable way.
Yeah, exactly. Hots is by himself. I think this is the downfall of Portugal. I completely forgot to keep track, and I mean, I don't see anything but a slaughter here. I like their play. Again, I really like the aggression. As I said, it's that compound that they ended up dying on. It's a spot where you have not really the best vision north, but it is like one of those you need to go past it to get further.
Yeah.
And once you have that compound, you have so much vision up towards that hill. So had they got that, they would have been in a golden position. But
I'm surprised we didn't see a wrap on the west though. There was a lot of opportunity to come around the shelter area, maybe try to come in behind, but that would have been. I mean, either way, there was such a rough position that they were in, given how much control that Denmark had over the high ground. And I think that is the most one-sided map we've had so far on broadcast.
I think the game ended in 9 minutes.
Ooh. Is that a record? I think that must be a record.
I didn't see the timer, but it was really fast.
It was phase 4.
It was mid-phase 4,
yeah,
exactly.
Mid-phase 4, so
it was pretty quick.
Ouch.
It was pretty quick.
We saw.
Well played, Denmark. Nice response to it as well.
I think Mike Wazowski and Kenshin got like 10 or 15 knocks with just like 2 or 3 nades.
I was gonna say, I really want to see how many kills that they managed, or you can see it up here, how many kills they managed to get in that compound. That was absolutely insane. Once that push came in, but in all fact, we talked about it with Germany earlier today as well, when we had the Greek players trying to push down towards the school. Yes, it's chaotic, and yes, odds for Portugal winning isn't big. But if they get into a house, if they get that first knock on an opponent, they can get themselves a foothold, and that can make it really hard for the defending team, because they didn't have like 15 players in that compound. I think they had 4 or 5. So great nades, smart play by the Danish team. in that situation to hold them off, but it could easily have gone the other way.
Yeah, I think if maybe 2 or 3 Portuguese players had got into that first house before the rest of the crash came in, then they could have sort of maybe won it out. But I almost
also maybe
say
silent pull-ups would have been an idea.
I mean, you'd be go too slow and just get shot at the car, though.
Also, when you silent pull up with like 15 cars, I think they'll see you anyway.
Someone will see it. But I almost want to say that maybe too many people went for it. Because if you send like a little hit squad, your little special forces, and send like 4 or 5 into the house, maybe you'll lose 1 or 2. But they should be able to at least get control of 1 or 2 houses and sort of open up the avenue for the rest of the people to join them.
Also, they also pushed on a side of the building with 1 window they would have to take turn vaulting through. If you engage a situation like that, go on the side so you can hop through the door, something like that. Things to think about for the Portuguese team coming into what could be their final game of not only the day, but maybe the tournament. We'll have to wait and see, guys. We're going to take a short break. Denmark up 1-0 so far. We'll be right back.
I've been feeling like a man out of time. I've been staring into space to get in tune. I've been waiting for the sand to fall behind. I've been looking for a face inside the moon. I've been looking for a faith to lead the faithless. Caught slipping trying to catch the speed of light. Every time I try to make a way out of my lateness, pulled over, got somebody reading me right. Cause we've been chasing after hours, counting minutes second hand, spending all of our tomorrows trying to come up with a plan. We don't call up information cause they don't know what we saying. No one knows, no one knows. We all woke up in a upside down, turning inside out like we've all been led astray. We've been standing on the outside in, trying to find our friends like we're all just castaways. Feel like we've been missing out. Falling overboard, catch me off the side. Or maybe you just missed it when you close your eyes. Life goes in an instant. One hell of a ride. If you don't go for fiction, I'll get caught up in the lies while you was chasing after hours, counting minutes second hand, spending all of our tomorrows trying to come up with a plan. We don't call up information cause they don't know what we saying. No one knows, no one knows. We all woke up in a upside down, turning inside out like we've all been led astray. We've been standing on the outside in, trying to find our friends like we're all just castaways. Feel like we've been missing out. Focus, false starts like roll it in the dark like stutter steps last breath. Staring in the void, feeling paranoid, thinking if you fall, you won't make a noise. Off of opioid, man, you got a droid, at least you got a phone. Fucking humanoid, why you xenophobe? Why you so annoyed? Why you tripping out? Who made you devout? Why we go this route? Can you do without? If you look within, here we go again. Hands inside the vehicle, you mad cause it's autonomous. You thinking you anonymous, but we upside down, turning inside out like we've all been led astray. We've been standing on the outside in, trying to find our friends like we're all just castaways. Feel like we've been missing out. Feel like we've been missing out. Feel like we've been missing out. Feel like we've been missing out.
Denmark manages to hold off the breach from the Portuguese onslaught. Managed to hold them back, at least for the first round. They've found themselves into a 1-0 spot. And it's, remember, lower brackets only BO3s, which means that...
could be all over here.
Yeah, exactly. If Denmark managed to pull home one more, it could be game over for the Portuguese. We'll have to wait and see just a little while longer. Of course, for those of you guys who didn't watch the last game, just rewind. You can probably recap that game in about 15 seconds?
Yeah, I mean,
15, 20
you just
seconds
need to see
maybe?
that crash where 17 people died in the span of about 30 seconds.
A lot of explosions, a lot of vehicles, and Denmark somehow actually managed to make it out of that situation, only losing 2 players to begin with. I mean, they did lose more over time.
Well, that was just because of how many knocks the nades got.
Exactly.
There was no need to engage on them face to face because they just
lobbed the hand out the window. Woo,
and
woo,
even
woo.
I think the cars actually blew up like 4 or 5 people just from the explosions. So
it was pretty damn chaotic. Now I can see the plane for the next. I'm not going to reveal anything yet, but I think that could it could really open up for some interesting circles. Well, let's see here. Mike Wachowski, we talked about him. He was the one way up north. He did manage to make his way down towards his teammates. Found himself 5 kills. Him and Hot Dog, they were spamming nades.
Yeah, I think Mike actually got all 5 of those kills with 1 nade.
Most likely.
Because he landed it in the middle of the group and he just saw the kill feed was just his name. So there was mics all over the place.
Yep, interesting. But it also meant that half the players in the team didn't get anything because he pretty much took out half the team.
Yeah, but all those players on the South Hill were just
they're like,
they just saw the number just tick.
They were all sprinting to the action, but the match was over before it even started. Just like when Denmark got invaded by Germany in Second World War. I think it was like 21 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they lasted a little bit longer this time.
That is true. this goes to show this took longer for Denmark to fight through than the other one did. In any case, interesting first match. As you can see, only 5 kills for the entire Portuguese roster this year. 3 of those gone in the way of sparking. So good job by him. But we are gonna head over to the jury wrangle once more. This time around, the newly updated one. So as you said before, does the game go into the same area this time around? Or actually more cover?
Yeah, but that entire field that we saw them drive through is dominated by, I think there's a bunch of trenches there now, and then some vehicles.
And it's overcast weather. That's interesting. I like that.
I love the lack of sound.
I've been asking to have overcast in competitive PUBG without fog, without rain, just overcast weather. Because could you imagine Nations Royale with foggy weather?
That would be brutal.
They would have no idea where they were. Can we make that a thing in the finals? Just like one game?
Just randomly
just one game, and all of a sudden you just have like silent pull-ups in foggy weather, but like 15 USs.
I think we'd be receiving a lot of angry letters.
That would be the funniest thing. No, can we?
If there was no money on the line, I'd say yes.
Just one game. One game. In a BO10 or whatever it's going to be.
Is it a BO10?
I
was going to say. Bloody hell.
Just like, if we could make it a BO10, just like we'll have one of the games. Have one of the games.
Yeah, one fog map on each map.
That would be not necessarily each map, just one in total.
Just throw more. If you're going to throw one, you might as well throw 5.
I would absolutely love to see that. It would mean that the fight probably wouldn't start before later, or they would all fight in the beginning.
Yeah, or
no one would know.
you might also see where they sort of walk on top of each other without noticing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then some massive random engagement happens.
And then we have, oh my lord, Danish game to start off with. A Portuguese circle for the second.
Sometimes the circle comes, and it's going to make it, I suppose, a bit fair. I mean, that phase 1 last time was very Danish.
It was very
and this one is now very Portuguese. And I'm curious, I would like to see them set up on those eastern hills rather than go towards the centre, just because then you can force Denmark into some really poor positions.
Yeah, you pretty much have a stretch from just the west side of Gatka down towards Quarry, where you have like a high-rise. And if they set up a barrier on that stretch, Denmark will be forced to either run into it or drive all the way under Ferry Pier, all the way over Everest.
Yeah, you essentially almost want Denmark to go around you because the coast is really exposed.
And then you can pin them in by the water. Yeah, exactly. Huh.
So I kind of want to see Portugal set up on the eastern side of this circle.
This is tough. How does Denmark win this?
I would say
by killing them, obviously.
I would say if Portugal doesn't properly set up and Denmark finds a way to break onto that hill, that's sort of the win condition.
You know what my strategy would be right now if I was the captain? I would say,
just win.
Captains, find as many boats as you can, and then breach in Primorsk. Because there's only, I mean, they know for a fact there's not going to be a lot of people down there. If you just take the boats, wide turn around and just, like D-Day style, breach the shorelines of Primorsk, and then fight your way in, I mean, that's probably why I'm not captain. But that could be interesting to see. Now, the circle's already starting to close in. With these nations Royale settings, the circles do close a little faster. But
honestly, this is the worst map for a sea breach because it's the
really
Primor speech now has got a bunch of sea defenses on it. So,
but that's also that's going to work for them too, though. Once they get there.
Yeah, once you get onto the land, but trying to get on is a lot more difficult now.
But it's like D-Day, they didn't actually expect the breach to be there.
True.
And they couldn't get the troops over there in time. That's a complete replica.
Yeah, I really want to see Denmark try and take control of at least one hill. Even the hills south of Quarry. It's not necessarily going to be in the circle late game, but you can get a lot of vision and deny a lot of the area of the map.
Oh, he doesn't approve of my naval strategies. That's unfortunate. Vehicles being obtained by the Portuguese, of course, makes sense. They want to have the mobility to move around, and also they are the ones right now. I mean, sometimes you go, "Ooh, who's going to be the ones to start the engagement?" They are going to be the ones setting up barriers and playing defensive right now. They're preparing for the push from the Danish, and understandably so. Actually, kind of interesting to me that they have decided to keep so many players in Pochinki for as long as they have with the circle.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if maybe Denmark might try to counter that and try and catch them out. But
also the fact that no Danish players have moved yet. I think they're still discussing what the plan is here.
It might also be one of those ones where we're so far away from the circle that we might as well get stacked.
This is where all the IGLs become an issue. Because believe me, everybody has ideas for what they should do right now.
That is where you need Mudo to take control.
Yes.
To say, we're going to do this. Because sometimes the wrong idea executed quickly is better than the right idea executed slowly.
As long as everyone agrees and... I mean, not necessarily agrees, but as long as everyone does the same thing and knows what is going to happen, then I completely agree with you. It's not always about finding the 600 IQ play. It's just about executing it all together. Mudo and Pony, the brothers, are going to try and make their way further forward.
I wonder if they have the flare guns, they could pop the BRDMs and use them to breach. Because we do have, I'm pretty sure we have flares in this game. So
and we do have flares.
We see the big crates, So obviously the cars are available.
That's what you do with your team captain. Put him in a solidified fortress.
The portable
HQ.
forward.
Yeah. That's what they should have done. 2 BRDMs, that's 8 in a way. That's 10 players. Breaching Prim. And going up, from there.
Because you can
coming with the
drive down to military base, get one in.
Yeah, exactly.
Amphibious assault.
It could be interesting.
All we need now is an actual turret on the top.
Yeah, like a proper.
Even if it's a really exposed LMG on the top, there'll be so much fun.
That's what I've been asking for. Like, just put a M249 in the turret.
Yeah, or even on you can put it on a UAZ as well. If you get it in a crate, you can put it.
You can attach it.
Yeah, because the DP is a very underused gun, right?
Well, if you could attach it, everything.
Maybe that'd be a way to balance it.
Everything with a bipod you could attach.
Yeah, you just hook it on the top.
QBUs.
Just driving along.
Yeah, maybe.
What it reminds me of, in Battlefield 2, there was that the UAZ style vehicle with the machine gun.
Yeah, I remember.
Set that up.
Look at how many players Portugal still has up on the northern side. It's pretty clear what Denmark's trying to do, and it's also pretty clear that the majority of the Portuguese players are trying to hold off this push that will be coming in on the southern side. But Portugal still has, I want to say, 7 or 8 players up in South Georgia, and it's going to be a while before they'll come down there.
It is counteracted by the fact that some of the Danish players have only just left farm.
True.
We're sort of going to see about the 20 engagement here on the south side, and they're all trying to get round to the Primorsk area, just getting lit up from this hill now.
Yeah, Clip, he found them. Guys, I found them!
They're normally calling out there's one to my north, and instead you're calling out, there's 10 to my north this time. So.
Not sure exactly how he actually managed to survive through that one. Seems like Denmark, they saw it, they heard it, now they're pushing around the other way, but Flammy is going to be the next one to go, I found them, because they have, as we said, pretty much put up roadblocks or barriers all the way through. Oh, have they?
They found a chink in the armor, I think.
Flammy found the hole in the wall.
It definitely looks like they could be able to get up on this hill for free.
Oh, no.
Flemy's leading the charge. At least 15 players have already got through. What is that circle?
The Trojan horse has been led through the gate, and now they actually have a chance to push through.
But they might be able to catch off at least 4 or 5
Look how split the Portuguese team is.
It's a proper spearhead, but it's whether they now get pinched. If they can...
Fleming has to realize now he's driving alone. You might want to stop now and wait for your teammates.
There's only so far you can go, but Kenshin grabs 2 there. So they've got 2 kills now, a 2-player advantage towards Denmark early.
Wow.
I love what they did there. Where they drove past, then some of them just turned around and took out the players on the hill. They're still going. Flaming just driving through.
Like, I'm going to continue.
Bit of a blitzkrieg going on here.
Full speed forward. He has the man with the flag, and he's waving the banner, trying to guide his troops in. And he is, I mean, the further he goes, the more he's going to get surrounded real soon.
Yeah, but there's almost all the Portuguese players are turning around and looking at this, and maybe there's going to be a bit of a...
Someone's going to yell soon that, wait, guys, wait, you're too far ahead. We're getting split up here.
I love it. I love this play. Because
look at the rest of them, they're getting completely cornered now.
But all of these Portuguese players in the middle are turning around, and that's leaving the Danish players on the east in sort of a...
But they can't get to them now. They can't get to them now. They have to turn around. You can see all the players in Quarry. They're going around east. Stab does go down. Clip went out as well. Yeah, I like the idea, but maybe this is going to be hard now. This is going to be hard now.
But this little exclave on the...
A kilometer too far.
The little exclave on the southwest, they might be able to do some work. If they can catch out some of the Portuguese players trying to reinforce on the southeast, and actually, given this big flank coming in from Denmark, there's an opportunity that they could start catching off the western side of the Portuguese team. Because all of these players on the eastern side around Quarry are basically sort of taken out of the game for at least maybe a couple minutes.
Yeah, settle around the swamp area, regroup, and see where the next circle takes you. I think that might be the smart play to make it, because Portugal is pretty much, I mean, they're not really pinned by any means in the middle. They can move as they please, but I think they need some structure right now. Circle centers pretty much on Portugal, but also in the open. So Denmark's main forces up on the northern side, Portugal split extremely thin, and if Denmark get in the middle of that somehow and take a center position, that's going to be hard to fight through.
And up on the north now, we see another Danish foray into the Portuguese line. Watch Me Flush is going a little bit far, perhaps, but he's going to go for the drive-by. Can he get the kill?
Doink.
Oh. He actually got it. That was the slowest drive-by in history.
Ooh, 1 for 1. Traded it out.
He can actually get the flush, so the rest should be able to come in.
Here's the team captain. Hot Dog is in the middle of the road. He's going to go back down to hide behind his vehicle. Oh, he does manage to drive over towards his teammates in the forest.
Yeah, I want to see the southern Danish group, if they could try and aggress onto the people just to their north.
They have to.
And the northern group comes south, and they could pinch off like at least 10 players here and try and push that player advantage their way.
Cali pushing underneath. You can see all these players trying to come all the way around. Woogie Boogie is down there as well. They want to make their way up towards their teammate, and I think this next circle is going to be absolutely crucial. If it goes west, it could very well be a Denmark 2-0. If it goes east here, I would think Portugal has what it takes to bring it home.
I want to say that actually the presence on the northern side of this circle for Denmark means that there's a lot of area that's basically unplayable for the Portuguese roster. They are getting a lot of knocks at the minute, but they basically can't play on top of the hill on the eastern side just because of how much vision there is from the Danish players. So there's still a potential, no matter where the circle goes, that Denmark can clutch it up. But you have to say Portugal at that slight advantage.
I love how all the matches we've seen so far has been, like, at least seemingly so coordinated, but it was pretty much Flammy alone that just turned this entire server into chaos and carnage. I mean, there's absolutely no structure anymore. The Portuguese forces are split all over the place. Of course, nobody wants to be in the open. And I also like the fact that no one's in that compound. They know it's open. They know it's theirs. Play around it instead and try and get some vision. Right now, they have a 2-player lead. And Boogie Boogie, you can see, trying to make his way over towards his teammates. This next circle, where are we going? Okay, they're all sitting on the dot in the middle, Portugal. They're waiting for that center circle.
And these circles do normally end in that field. So
yep. Let's see where we're going. Oh, it hard shifts south, away from the Danish forces. Now, what do they do here? Do they go over Quarry to try and make plays from there? Or do they rep? They kind of have to rep west, right?
But the problem is that there isn't anywhere to play on the west. They have that compound.
They need to go all the way underneath.
But they can't put the whole team in that compound.
But you cannot really see that far south from where the players are in the forest right now. So if you can rep all the way under, see Fifi already doing it, kind of down towards Must and Satsire's Hurley. If they can get all the way down there with a bunch of Danish players, that might be the winning play, but this is going to be tough. They might actually just want to fight them in the forest. They just crash into it.
I do think that southern wrap that you were talking about is probably the best play possible. But it looks like the Portuguese players aren't quite aware that that's a possibility.
Yeah, you got to get down there.
Only got those two south. I want to see them send maybe 4 or 5 more players at the least to at least get some trades and just sort of make them fight for the position.
Before the play on the southern side becomes a reality, they need to get down there. Yeah. Right now, I think that's what the Portuguese team is trying to prevent.
Yeah, but there's so many.
They're sending more people down. Now they're sending a lot more.
Perfect.
Is Raf? I didn't know Rafi was from Portugal.
I did not either. The more you know.
Rafi, Portuguese.
For some reason, I always think
maybe there's one more Y, and it's not Rafi, but another Rafi.
Maybe it's a different Rafi. Rafi 2.
I did not know he was Portuguese.
I'm going to Google it.
Huh. Just learn something new every day. Monks Spots out one. Evo Fragger gone down, tying things up almost 27-26 for now. Remember, guys, it is a BO3, and Denmark is currently in first place. So, look at how many Portuguese players are down here now. They went for that exact one play, but Portugal has really, like they have done the smart play here. They know where to put the defenses, and Denmark is running into a slaughter.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing they can do unless they can get some really lucky kills. I think the Portuguese players perfectly expected that southern flank, and it looks like they're set up. They're getting the kills, but actually there's a couple of trades coming the other way.
They need to keep pushing. That's the issue. It's like instead of rushing B, you cannot have the first guy stop. You need to keep running. You need to keep sending it forward. They're all tagged up. Look at the HP on the Portuguese players. They need to keep pushing forward, but this is not easy. And right now they're getting pulled apart. Down a couple already, and knocked players, of course, don't really count so far. 21 players alive, and they're still dropping.
Yeah, that's a bit of a field of death for the Danish players as the kill feed is all Portuguese. As we see, that Monster does get a nice double kill, but he gets taken down in return, so he's not going to be able to get the flushes. And now that Portuguese player advantage at 7 and with a couple extra knocks is looking very one-sided.
Really good reaction play by Portugal to understand that they had to get down and hold this out.
But there's a lot of Danish flags in the kill feed at the minute. Kenshin got a couple there. I think he actually got 3 or 4 down there, so maybe there's a bit of a comeback on the cards.
Raffi is chilling out behind the crate. He went for it, but now he's finding himself completely isolated. Snow has 7 bullets left. Of course, there are a lot of players wanting to share the same loot here, but that's not optimal numbers, you'd argue.
Yeah, he's found some bullets, so he should be okay.
One nade would take on 3 players on that side. Seems like the entire Danish force is kind of committed to this southern push around. Wookie is coming down to try and help. Of course, very talented Danish player.
But the problem with this is there was like a group of 10, at least 10 Danish players that just didn't do anything while that push came in. They were just sat in that compound and they weren't really doing anything either way. I would have liked to see them maybe try and aggress onto the team to their east and try and at least put a bit of pressure on them and prevent them from just lighting up the Danish players, but it might be a little bit too late.
They're actually pushing back now towards the circle. You can see how the Danish players that were, they decided to stay on the northern side. They are trying to push through there. I do not see them not winning this one. It's going to be real tough. That's for sure. So many players are knocked and they don't count for the numbers. So Denmark essentially probably have 5 or 6 players on their feet now.
Yeah, but you see there's 2 left pretty much. Yeah. Exactly 2 left. Fifi and Nixtis, the last 2. And they've got a lot of people just rushing towards them, looking for those kills. Ooh. The flush is starting to come in now.
There's only 2 players on this side from the... oh, no, Fifi. He's going to go down. Yep, and that's going to be all things on this side eliminated. It's going to be a victory for Portugal, and we are going to go into the final map, which I believe to be Sanok. So,
very different to these maps.
Game 1, very favored on the Danish. In terms of circles, at least early on. Game 2, very favored on the Portuguese pretty much throughout the game. Flammy tried. They had a really good spearhead push through the middle, but it didn't really work out for them. So there will be one more game played.
Yeah, I think there was a better attempt at getting around not having the circle from Denmark than we saw Portugal do in the last game. It sort of felt like Portugal had given up when they just made that massive crash. Whereas Denmark, they tried these flanks and they actually got it fairly close, or at least a lot closer than the first game was. So I think you have to say they're probably favourites going into the last game, but it should be a really close one.
Sanok.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen.
No one knows what's going to go on a Sanok match.
Do not know what's going to happen. I mean, as you said, I mean, once they managed to kind of push through the siege, Denmark seemed like they had kind of found Portugal not running, but a little confused at least, and seemingly someone, hopefully their captain, was able to rally his troops and kind of restructure what they were doing. And I like to see that, even though it can be chaotic, because it is 32v32, you need to have that captain that can go, guys, shut up and listen to this is what we're doing, and we're doing it right now when everyone's screaming, going, they're here, they're here, they're here. You need to have that guy that can hold steady and sail a ship to the harbor, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I think sort of the losing moment to say on that game was the fact that big group that sort of broke through from the Danish roster just weren't able to do anything once they did get through. They got sort of trapped in that compound. And maybe if they'd got a hill instead, if they'd pulled up slightly early on that hilltop, they could have prevented the rotation coming in from Portugal. But they were in a really rough spot.
They had that spot, actually, but they continued over to the shoreline. That actually is true. Unfortunately, not quite the case for Denmark, where there is still one more game to play. So let's hope that, I hope, you guys can hope whatever you want, that we'll get a good final game of the eliminations here. Guys, see you real soon.
been feeling like a man out of time. I've been staring into space to get in tune. I've been waiting for the sand to fall behind. I've been looking for a face inside the moon. I've been looking for a faith to lead the faithless. Caught slipping trying to catch the speed of light. Every time I try to make a way out of my lateness, pulled over, got somebody reading me rights. Cause we've been chasing after hours, counting minutes second hand, spending all of our tomorrows trying to come up with a plan. We don't call up information cause they don't know what we saying. No one knows, no one knows. We all woke up in a upside down, turning inside out like we've all been led astray. We've been standing on the outside in, trying to find our friends like we're all just castaways. Feel like we've been missing out. Falling overboard, catch me off the side. Or maybe you just missed it when you closed your eyes. Life goes in an instant, one hell of a ride. If you don't go for fiction, I'll get caught up in the lies while you was chasing after hours, counting minutes second hand, spending all of our tomorrows trying to come up with a plan. We don't call up information cause they don't know what we saying. No one knows, no one knows. We all woke up in the upside down, turning inside out like we've all been led astray. We've been standing on the outside in, trying to find our friends like we're all just castaways. Feel like we've been missing out. False starts like roll it in the dark like stutter steps last breath. Staring in the void, feeling paranoid, thinking if you fall, you won't make a noise. Off of opioid, man, you got a droid, at least you got a phone. Fucking humanoid, why you xenophobe? Why you so annoyed? Why you tripping out? Who made you devour? Why we go this route? Can you do without? If you look within, here we go again. Hands inside the vehicle, you mad cause it's autonomous. You thinking you anonymous, but we upside down, turning inside out like we've all been led astray. We've been standing on the outside in, trying to find our friends like we're all just castaways. Feel like we've been missing out. Feel like we've been missing out. Feel like we've been missing out. Feel like we've been missing out.
Vai na fé, vai atrás do que você quer. Quem tá na missão sabe bem o que é. Gasta a sola do pé, nunca será em vão. Se correr pelo certo, não mudar a direção. Quem tá...
We have made it to the final map of the battle between Portugal and Denmark, and Erangel wasn't going to be enough to find ourselves a winner. Now we're headed over to Sanok.
Yeah, we're starting to get to that phase in the tournament now where all the teams are pretty good. All the teams know what they're doing. You know, we saw on the last day where we just had 3-0 after 3-0 because we had the sort of the favourites of the tournament versus the sort of underdogs. Now we're meeting those teams that have a bit more cohesion, have obviously the mechanical skill of Denmark, particularly. Now we had the 3-2 just before, and now it's the 2-1. Which way do you think it's going to go? I presume you're going to be biased.
I think no. I mean, even though I want Denmark to win out of being a Danish person, I still am always. I mean, in all sports I watch and stuff, I just want the team that deserves it more in the game. Like if Denmark gets a shit ton of circles all game and lose, then I won't be sad that Denmark didn't win because they had what it took to win. You know what I mean? And if Denmark, but on the other hand, if Portugal is going to get all the circles in this game, kind of like they did last game, not mad because Denmark did the first game, but if Portugal gets all the circles and they lose, then woohoo, Denmark for sure. But I mean, I don't want to. I want to cheer for the best team, not necessarily the nation. But
we've had the sort of Denmark got the circles, Portugal got the circles.
Yeah.
Now I'm sort of hoping we have.
It's gonna end like in this small island in the middle now, because that would have to be the rule, right?
Yeah.
Far west, far east, and now we're just boot camp ending. That's what's going to happen. Now let's see the individual kills after 2 games. Portugal had a total of 5 kills after the first game. Things have turned around.
Yeah, obviously they got the full 32 versus Denmark in the last one. So we saw particularly Sparking got another. I think he had 3, was it, in the game once?
Yeah.
He got another kill to his name. And he's got a few people actually joining him on the kill feed now. So.
Some Danish players that need to wake up. We got Jord, we got Clip, we got Stab with 1 kill. A lot of Beamy there as well. Some very, very talented players from Denmark that, well, I mean, at least in terms of kills, they haven't really been able to find any. But then again, the first game was over before we knew it, and the second game, half the people died in rotations early, so...
yeah, but that first one, it was literally the only people who got kills were inactive. So,
exactly.
Yeah, potentially an opportunity for the other players to step up and make a name for themselves this time.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to follow along Kenshin with 5 kills. Tied at first place, and on the right side, Sparking still up there. He had 3 kills after the first game. He was the only one pretty much with kills in the Portuguese team after game 1. But now let's see as we take to the battlefields of the jungle. Sanok is the playing ground, and I can see the planes in the air. It's a fair one at it. This is gonna be exciting.
I'm curious who's going to take control of that northwest island, because there's a lot of if the circle does go up there, the team that has the island wins. But it actually looks like maybe both are gonna try and contest it.
At least there are players out for the team, but it's mainly Portuguese players out early, I want to say.
We've got a couple of Danes trying to go east towards the sort of cow area, but it definitely looks like Portugal will get control of that island.
Portugal has more players out early than Denmark has, at least. That's for damn sure.
I'm really a bit nervous about that little Danish exclave.
It's going to be difficult for... I mean, it's going to be really hard to recognize teammates in parachutes, come to think of it, because you only see your 8 teammates. So if you're like a pack of players
on the map,
landing,
you can see everyone, right?
Yeah, but you would also then I mean, if you see, can you tell if you see 15 parachutes or 20? I mean, look at how many people are in. Oh my lord!
I would assume people are looking at the map and they see that there's no dots around them.
I have a call right here. Whoever wins Paradise wins the game.
And there's only like 2 Danes there, so
there's way more than that. I think there's like 8.
Oh, this is what we saw in it. Was it boot camp?
Oh no!
In the Turkish match, where like half of each team dropped there.
No. Like, if Denmark wins boot camp, there's no players in boot camp. Speaking of which, if Denmark wins Paradise, oh my lord!
Hello.
Disengage! Get away from there!
But there's that decision of, do you go for the trades and try?
They need to get the hell away from
try and hand your team a bit of a player advantage, maybe, or do you just try and run away? But obviously, the one problem with Sanok is there's barely any vehicles.
Yeah, I think after landing, you can see now they're running. After landing, that's when you realize which player was close, like was your teammate, or which wasn't. And I think all they want to do right now is to get the hell south.
Yeah, and there's a couple of players that now, sort of your cow players, and there's these ones we're seeing on the hill here that are basically screwed. Their only job now is to try and at least make it a 1-for-1 trade when they go down, because there's no way they're getting to the circle if the Portuguese team play it right.
Sparking is one of the top fraggers so far for the team.
It's not something we see every day. Tommy gun
push from Ravi over towards Fifi Jones. Has he found himself a weapon? He didn't have one just before.
He does
have it seems like an AK.
Looks like one,
yeah. Don't know if he has a vest or helmet. It seems like he has a level 1 helmet out of his X-ray shadow.
Yeah, I'm trying to work it out, but Rafi at least has the HP advantage. So as long as he can, never mind.
Had the HP advantage. That's a bullet to the head. I like that. He has the XP advantage. Doink. And Sparking does go down, so that's a very, I would argue, one of the best fraggers, at least, on the Portuguese roster.
Mike's going off today. He's already got 5 kills to his name over the course of the tournament. He's just knocked 2 people
a lot
on his own.
Danish players gone down just now. I think that's mainly players trying to get out of the boot camp, or the Paradise Resort area.
Yeah, we saw the 2 players on the just to the south of Mike Wazowski, and that compound on the hill. Both of them went down. So Mike's sort of trying to make those trades worthwhile at least. But we do have that little esclave in Cal that maybe could do some work, because there are some names. Obviously, Mudo's up there, Pony Rider, Lorone.
The captain is stuck behind enemy lines.
But it's whether Portugal are perhaps fully aware that they're there.
Yeah, that's of course true. They might not know. And you can see the Danish players did manage to get out of there. But I think a lot of the players that we see just on the northern side of Glory for Denmark right now, they do not really have any weapons. I mean, they've been running pretty much since they landed. And I'm not sure if they really have anything to fight with here.
Yeah, I think by and large, in this sort of game mode, because of how much of the map is left unlooted, like we see that pretty much the entire Southwest Island.
Yeah, you got to be really generous.
Like no one really has a lot of loot. But there's like only having an AR, and there's having like a Tommy gun, which a lot of those people that have to leave Paradise are currently probably stuck with.
To be fair, I think you would rather have a Tommy gun and vest and helmet than an AR and nothing.
I mean,
in a tournament like this.
I would actually rather have an AR.
Really?
Yeah.
No vest or helmet? Oh, Mike Wazowski, he knows he's all by himself.
I think either way, you're dead in that situation.
Wazowski is 1v5?
Yeah, he already has the one kill, but obviously they lost 2 players there.
Get one more and it's a trade gone your way.
I think he needs to get 2, really. I mean, if you look at because of the fact that he lost his 2 teammates to no reply.
Yeah, I guess.
As an individual performance, the 2-1 trade is great, but in terms of he's not going to get the knock of the flush, unfortunately.
So he trades 1 for 1, I guess.
Yeah, but it's not that bad on the individual performance. But the fact that 4 of them landed there and none of them are making out for only that 1 kill is a little bit rough.
Yeah, it does go against them, of course. Now they do have the circle, so at least that's something.
I kind of like that, the fact that they're going to be at a disadvantage.
They've been hurt
player-wise, but at an advantage with the circle, it should make it a much more balanced game.
XCF set has hurt them. They must be setting up some sort of a...
Dark Choice should be able to get at least one of them here.
Oh, he was single fire! No! Pony Rider does get shut off the vehicle. I thought there might be a chance that he would have escaped. In all fairness, you could have had both of them. So the fact that he only got 1, that's good. I'm not sure if Mudo is going to be able to make it all the way through, though. He's running from one blue player straight into another. Might be able to dodge Chronix here. And if he does, Chronix is actually the last player to dodge in order for him to make it down towards his teammates. Seems like the team captain is able to get out of there without going down. Half HP in the vehicle, but he survives.
And we see the other 2 that were looting Cow are actually on foot. So now I wonder if maybe Portugal's expecting that everyone's gone. And maybe there's an opportunity for these 2 to do a bit of a hero play.
How much can you really do? And the main thing I think they can do is to distract. We saw it with Polidera from the Turkish team. He was able to single-handedly drag out, I think, 10 or 11 players who started hunting him while... I mean, he essentially just bought... He was going to die eventually, but he bought so much time for the Turkish team to reposition and kind of regroup and loot a little more. So maybe that's what Laren, and I couldn't really see what the other guy up there trying to do, or it should do at least, because this rundown is going to be difficult if they try to fight their way through it.
And there's also an opportunity where perhaps if they can come fully behind the Portuguese players, that they can start throwing nades first, because when you shoot your gun, you give away your position. But if you lob a nade, they have absolutely no idea where it's coming from.
Click. And if there's talking and running and I don't know what not, then they might.
So it's something we saw Polidaric actually do on the Erangel game, where up in the mansion, where he at least got 2 kills with that nade, and then naded himself. Which hopefully Lorraine won't do. But all of these Portuguese players are looking the other way, but maybe there's a bit of an unfortunate timing.
I like the way that it looks with Lorraine. They're like the sharks swimming around in the fish steam, you know? And I mean, the fact that they don't see anyone is also good info to give. If they can blow up a 4-man vehicle here,
that would be the perfect trade.
Amazing. Wait, he's shooting at a teammate. Dark Choice shot at Kari.
But that's something we're actually...
But the fact that they hear the vehicles come past them, they're pinpointing the enemy's locations right now. They're actually running up the hill. You can't really see it here. But Lauren and Isan, they have... I mean, once they get over this hilltop, they'll be able to see so far down south that they should be able to say, good, we have players in this area.
No, as long as they don't get spotted for now, then there's an opportunity that they can do something massive coming into the second phase.
Ow.
Run straight into the tree.
There's 2 players on that vehicle, too. Could be a double kill coming in. Circles shifting south again. Is this the cave ending I've never got in Wingman or in competitive PUBG, and now we get it here?
There. So, but obviously, I don't know if we have the water shift on.
I would be surprised if we did.
I think we don't. So we can.
I mean, if we do, it's even more cave ending.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of guarantees it at that point.
Yeah. That's interesting. I haven't seen these endings before. Laren and Ethan still remaining incognito, and still, I mean, for every meter they push south, they can say that the enemies are 1 meter further south as well.
I'm surprised there's no more Danish players. We've only got like 3 trying to.
But I think that's because they know that the majority, like they're all out to the east.
Yeah, but I want to see some of the Danish players push a little bit. It's too late now.
But they have isolated quarry though.
But
like they can see over quarry from where they sit, so I don't think they need to worry as long as they don't see people.
The high ground,
yeah, as long as they don't see people cross over or through quarry, they should know that they're all on the eastern side of it, and they are.
Yeah, and this little group that's moved down to the south might be the win condition for Portugal.
Yeah, that's a good play.
If they can find a bit of aggression, maybe find a big flank by going all the way down the little peninsula and maybe trying to cross onto the south side of the cave. There's an opportunity for a big flank onto that the main hill.
Seeing Laren, he's been caught. I don't know if he's aware of they're aware for that sake. Eason is on the other side of the road. He's in the blue now. They're chasing.
Yeah, they've
seen him. Now shots are fired. Laren does go down. Eason, knowing this, might be able to find 1 or 2. That's, of course, not really... Oh, that's a vehicle. Where there's a vehicle, there's hope.
But the problem is, given how many players from Denmark have already gone down, a 5-man disadvantage, Eason needs to do like a 3 or 4 trade.
That's the first damage. Oh, they just all bounce out immediately. Get the flushes, Eason. Get the flushes. Down to low HP himself now. It's every second that you sit here is going to be 6 or 7 more guns pointing your direction. Does get the first up. Oh, my lord, he's tanking it.
Yeah, there was a really good reaction by Ruizno to get the tag in. It finally goes down. So I don't think Portugal's actually going to lose anyone.
They'll get the rest. They'll get the rest.
Instead of running away, Ruizno just stopped and almost sacrificed his own HP to prevent Eason from flushing. So that was a really nice play, a really quick reaction.
Now, where does this circle go? If it goes east, Denmark will have a downhill push through the open, probably without vehicles. If it goes west, I would assume Denmark has what it takes to win here, but they still have 5 players on the South Island, and I think they're waiting for. I think they're waiting for either a boat push around south from the East Island or a push from like the western side that they haven't seen.
I'm curious if we do get an eastern circle, if they're going to swim across and try and flank out the.
Or take a boat even.
Little Portuguese. I mean, the problem with the boats is they give away their position somewhat. And there's always the risk.
They're audible within like 400 meters.
Yeah, but they don't know where the Portuguese players are.
Yeah, true.
So there's always that risk that you're going to have mind nerd like a couple hundred meters further south. So I expect they'll probably try and swim if they are going to go for that sort of
Denmark is down 6 players already, so it's not looking good to start off. And you can see, despite them having the high ground vision here, they are kind of out in the open. So should there be players from the Portuguese team looking over in this direction, they probably would spot out quite a few players they could rather easily isolate. But now let's see, just a few more seconds to go until I want to say that we can kind of determine who's going to end up winning this game.
Yeah, a big western shift is going to make it really hard for Portugal, unless maybe they can wrap through the quarry with a couple of vehicles. But
let's see what's going to happen.
Well, that's
as fair as can be for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much in terms of the neutral spectator. That's probably the perfect.
Now we have to wait 1 more circle.
Well, we have to wait 2 more.
Potentially, yeah.
I expect we'll probably see a big gunfight happen for the central compound, sort of where Kenshin is at the minute. Because that position is realistically the only way Portugal could cross the road. And also, if we get an eastern shift, the only way Denmark could cross the road.
But also, how many people do you really want to stack into that compound? I mean, they will be able to push down, and they will have nades. I don't think they should put more people down into those houses.
No, Denmark didn't put any more. But basically, the only job of those players is to try and get a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah.
I mean, none of them are going to survive beyond the push.
Monks gets knocked
unless they do something absolutely insane.
Flush comes into Denmark is essentially surrounded here.
Yeah, and that player count is looking a little bit scary. The 7-player advantage towards Portugal is getting a bit rough for Denmark.
Wait, hello?
Oops. Are they flushing him as well? No, they're not.
Someone just got kicked.
Yeah, Beamy
is tilted.
Yeah, just a little bit.
MK14, perfect flank position, and Beamy just got knocked by his teammate. Oh my lord, I'd be pissed.
I expect the comms going to be full of a few Danish swear words right now.
He's running over to rest. He wants to make the hero play as an excuse. You know what? I can kind of respect that. You know what? I made the mistake. I'm going to come pick you up. But he is going for the rest now on him.
There is the warrior. Maybe they could lose both players though.
That is true. That is true. But I really respect it. Someone realizing he makes a mistake and he goes for the rest in the other direction. Now they are down by 8. They really want this circle shift to come soon, and they really want it to go west.
Yeah,
if they want to have a chance to win here.
Then you have BB actually got flushed, I think.
No, he got knocked again.
Yeah,
he got knocked again.
He got flushed there. I expect some very angry comms. But I mean, they're still in a really rough spot.
Yeah.
But they do have the vehicle to try and escape with. If it's the worst thing they could possibly have.
Denmark desperately needs a western shift. 3 minutes ago. In terms of time.
And even now, just purely based on the fact that it's an 8-player advantage, I almost want to say that Portugal could probably...
They could push it. I mean, they could aggress on it. That is very true. They are landing some good knocks on this. I mean, as long as they're stalling at a distance, maybe what we talked about earlier, as you can see here as well, the Danish individual skill level might be enough to get... I mean, maybe not catch the entire deficit in terms of players, but they can catch out a few. And right now, I think they've been finding quite a few knocks. Make the run for it. Hips. Is it hips or high, please don't?
I would assume high, please don't.
Or maybe that's what Beamy said when he knocked him. Hey, please don't.
It should make it one more bullet. Might put him down. But
is he excused now, maybe?
I mean, still, Beamy's just gone from first knock to third knock. So
that is
if he does go down again, then he's definitely dead.
So they've taken it from 8 down to 6 down. Circle.
Still not really favoring. I mean, there's a slight favoring to the Danish
It's
team.
going to end on the island in the water.
Just to screw with everyone. I've actually seen not that one, but the one on
the one in the middle.
No, the one on Erangel. The one by Ferry.
Oh yeah,
I've seen it end there before, so
Jesus.
maybe we're going to see the same thing again.
I've seen it ending on the southeast side of Milton Power. There's like a little rock there. I've seen
I've had that in a competitive tournament that I played.
Jesus Christ.
And that was not fun. I actually won the game though.
I'd imagine it wouldn't be
I'll
too
take that.
interesting. Let's see. What do I mean? The Portuguese are the ones who. Well, I mean, it's kind of a stalemate right now, at least in terms of...
I want to see them push for the compound, because they should know that there's only like 8, 9 players there, and if they sort of crash with like 15...
I think they just don't have to think further back than like 30 minutes to remember how they tried to make a breach. And this time, remember, it's scooters, it's tuk-tuks. I mean, it's not really... If they can't do it with USs and dashes...
There's a big difference with Sanok compounds, is that they have those walls around the outside.
True,
so
but it's still very nadeable.
To manipulate. Yeah, it is nadeable, but... there's a much bigger advantage, or much bigger possibility to win that gunfight compared to the Erangel one. And they do have some initial knocks. Hani and Chad both went down.
Yeah, 2 players knocked. There's like 3 lines of defense for Denmark. You have the compound up close, you have the ridge line behind it, and then you have, well, the cave, I guess you can say hilltop. We actually have both Clip and, who is it, Kino. Clip and Kino are pushing around the northern side. And again, the more players they don't see, that's actually good info to give across.
But then there's a worry that 6-player advantage...
that's a good pickup for them. Look at the level 3 vests.
I mean,
and helmets
2
too.
Shotguns, though.
I mean, right now I'm just thinking utility.
Yeah, I mean, the vest...
So many players have been knocked here, and vests are broken, helmets are broken, throwing 3 level 3 helmets.
In terms of guns, that is like the worst
thing you could get. Could have been 3 AWMs, that would have been a little more interesting.
Or at least maybe an M249 in this in 32v32 would be magical.
Wouldn't be... I mean,
imagine if you get a flank.
Maybe even just a Groza in this case. Chat goes down again. Maybe we should stop peeking that window, if that's the case.
Clip's getting very close, but he's actually getting shot by his teammates. I think he got put down to half HP.
Jesus freaking Christ, Denmark. Could you stop just killing each other? Now, let's see. 25 seconds until... If the last one wasn't, then the next one should be a game-deciding shift. Because
I want to
now Beamy killed Clip. There's gonna be tilt. Oh, my lord. Also, Beamy was the one probably tilting over getting knocked by a teammate, and now he goes out and takes out Clip.
But the rest should be able to come in. Kino's there, and Beamy's actually protecting them.
Oh, no. Let's see. Lenny using the AWM, and oh, this is the shift, guys. This is the shift. Not a single player from Portugal inside this circle, and Denmark has everyone but 2.
And now this is where Portugal have to try and work out how they push that compound. They couldn't do it in game 1, and now they need to do it in game 3, and their tournament life is on the line.
I'm biased now, by the way. I'm very biased now. Denmark needs to hold strong, but they are down by 7. Yeah. So this is... I want to say this is as fair as it can be, but Portugal, even though they're up, you can see already now starting to lose players. This is going to be really hard. And Beamy actually, I mean, Clip, really good position for them, because as long as they're behind that rock, they can't really push towards them at all. Rafikon down, they have no one within 150 meters towards them.
Yeah, Portugal needs to find a way into this compound quick, but those nades are coming out and doing some damage. Stab gets the knock onto Chronix, and Dark Choice is going to come over, so the Reds should be able to come in. And if they get on this wall, they can...
They're all crashing now. They're all crashing that wall. They need to really sprint down. You can see Clip shooting, Kino shooting down as well. They need to prevent them from crossing in here. Watch me flush. I would really appreciate if you could throw a nade out on that wall, because you get like 5 kills with it. Look at how... Oh, no, now it's not so much anymore. But there were a lot of players sitting there just before. And right now, I mean, I like to see Portugal making up... Oh, my lord, that nade. I like to see Portugal making up for what they did last time now. They all got funneled on that side. Now they're splitting out. They're pushing in. Great play
what
by
we're
them,
seeing is now
but look at the numbers.
Kino's coming around the eastern side, and all those people on the wall suddenly have no cover.
Look at the numbers. Denmark, they've lost 2 players and they've taken out 9 since we last saw, and now it's a tie.
And also, if you look at how many people are knocked, it's actually something like 20 to 10 in favour of Denmark. So a bit of a rough one based on the fact that Denmark took that high ground, and now you need something magical from these Portuguese players to turn it around.
This push without vegans, had it been any other map, we would have given them a better chance, but this one looks to go against them. 17-19, we can't count them out just yet, there's still a chance, but looks like the upfront defense line for Denmark is going to prevail. 13-19 and counting. This is going to be really tough, and we're soon to find some of these Portuguese players out in the blue even.
Yeah, and it looks like all she wrote. Look at that house. That is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we know where they are.
Yeah, the entire Portuguese team in one house, pretty much. And there was absolutely no way they're going to cross that road. So they need to try and find some kills. I mean, there's still a possibility.
There's a chance. Mind Nerd is on the beach.
Imagine if it pulls off like a 1v5 on the hill.
Just like throws one nade and Kate takes out the entire hilltop. You never know.
Clip actually got a flush with his own teammate there.
I like that. Beamy gets taken down. Beamy shoots Clip. Clip gets taken down. Clip shoots a teammate. That's
a big nade from Hanses.
Wow.
4 kills.
4 kills. Well, 2 knocks and 2 kills off of that one. That should be the difference maker. 16. Sold off Woogie Boogie pushing forward. Actually finds a flush with it too, and that's going to be it. Denmark prevails. Portugal goes down, but what an interesting final map here.
Yeah, I think maybe Portugal left it a bit too late in trying to take a bit more map control. But the circle was in the favour of Denmark, and they turned that player disadvantage down around, really, because I think they were 6 down going into phase 2.
Yeah.
And they turned that around into a big win.
They were more than, it was more like
maybe,
8 or 9.
Maybe favoured a little bit by the circle, but...
oh, yeah, I mean, again, they got the circles, 100%, no doubt about it, but it's not an easy play still to make. You need to position your troops right, have the 3 layers of players. You had the compound below, you had the kind of roll on the middle of the hill, and then the hilltop, and they all played it really, really well. Clip, despite being shot at by both Beamy and other teammates, actually ended up playing a huge role in that map too.
Yeah, that flank they did on the north, actually...
It was just 2 players.
Yeah,
just 2 players.
Resulted in at least, I think, 5 kills, maybe even 6.
They applied so much pressure. It's this shift that we see right... Nope, actually, that's the next one. But you can see the layering here perfectly. You have like the 3 levels of players, and then you see the shift right there. Beamy, Clip, and Keanu up on the hillside. They have 1 rock to play around, but it ended up being a really, really important... Oh my lord.
That nade did so much work.
Boogie Boogie hopping in with the sword off, getting a finish up onto 1 player, and that's going to be all she wrote for the European side of things here today. Denmark, they managed to find themselves a win, and I'm actually not sure exactly who they're going to go up against. We are going to have the brackets updated in just a moment, and I'm very curious to see who we'll be seeing in the next round.
Am I? Denmark beat Portugal. Portugal beat Britain.
Well, I mean, was there ever a doubt that Denmark's cooler than Britain?
For the next... how much longer are we here? At least 7 days? So
Denmark's going to play against... Oh, they play against Greece or Norway? Ow.
I mean, I don't want to be mean to the Danish players, but I don't see a way they win that.
Never say never. Never say never.
It is obviously a best of 5.
I mean, Greece, they showed... I mean, I'm going to be DMing Mudo all the strats about Greece. If
writing some essays, right, as we said.
I saw them do this. They like to flank over there. They like high ground. No, I mean, I think Greece has shown us both how scary they are with the first 2 rounds they took against Germany, but also where their weaknesses are. And if Mudo and the Danish team does the prep work, like we haven't really got to follow Norway at all, but if Mudo does his prep work probably, then they should have a chance. I mean, of course, again, I think circles play a massive role in this, especially when they're as small as they are the first circles. They play a huge role, especially when we like to split up east-west teams. Like,
and that's where your positioning in phase 1 comes into effect. So we saw, particularly in the best of 5 at the start of the night, that it was always the team that took the high ground right at the start of the game that ended up winning out the match. And then in that Sanok match, we saw the Danish players, yes, they got gifted the circle, but they moved up onto that high ground. They correctly positioned themselves to prevent really anything coming in from the Portuguese players, because if they'd gone slightly further west, there was an opportunity that Portugal could have made an early push up to the hill, but they were completely denied that access, and that really is what won Denmark the best of 3 in the end.
As we see with PUBG in general, circles are great, especially when they go in your favor, but they never guarantee you a win. We've seen multiple times teams be able to break through that, especially here in the... a perfect example, Turkey on Vikendi. They were chasing circles all day long, but they still managed to prevail. Guys, that's going to be it for EU here today. We are going to be back later tonight at 1 a.m. with NA, and what better matchup to throw in your faces than USA versus Canada. It does not get more South Park than that, I believe. So guys, do me a favor, be back at 1 a.m. There's going to be more PUBG coming your way. We'll see you guys later.